Let these wounds forever mark your cowardice.
What's up, guys? It is storming its ace off outside. I'm going to try to knock out one of these collection videos, but we'll see. Hopefully the power won't go out. It's already gone out once. You'll probably hear it thundering and everything else, but we'll try to march through. I think this is video 105, so definitely need to get back on these. It's been a couple months. We're still in the M's. This is death metal out of Milwaukee, Wisconsin. This is Mortification with their second full length, I believe, is entitled As Humanity Fades. I'm pretty lacking in my Mortification collection. I only own 2 albums. Pretty catchy death metal. Definitely old school, kind of thrashy, tinged death metal, but it's very catchy. Good stuff. I enjoy this second full length quite a bit. I want to get that debut as well. Also, I believe this is the third. This is entitled For All Eternity. This came out, I think, originally in 1995. I know this is a Peaceville reissue on Digipack. Not sure when the reissue came out. Maybe 2017. For some reason, that's in my head. But not a whole lot going on as far as a reissue goes. It has a liner book in there, but I'm not going to try to dig that out because it's kind of hard to get back in after you get it out of the Digipack. It's already got some dings and stuff on it from shelf wear. I don't want to tear it up any more than what it already is. Next up, we have a post-black, kind of atmospheric black metal band out of Nashville here in Tennessee. This is a band entitled Mortal Thrall with their 2022 release entitled A Path to Fire. As you can see there, it looks like there's a witch burning on the cover. That is actually supposed to be Maria de los Dolores Lopez. She was a Spanish visionary who was sentenced to death. She had an affair with during the Spanish Inquisition. This was in the 1700s. It goes through her whole story, but she was from a family of like priests and nuns, and she went blind, and then she claimed to have these visions of God and the afterlife and all this stuff, and then she had an affair with I think a cleric or something. I'm not sure, and he eventually confessed his sins, and she was put to death and burned at the stake. It's a pretty interesting story. Pretty morbid story. Fighting the glare on this, I apologize. Seems to be the ongoing theme lately is me fighting the glare. I'm going to have to figure something out in here because this is not working. Next up, we have some brutal death metal. This is Mortal Torment with Cleaver Redemption. This came out. This has been out a while. This came out in 2015. I knew it's been out for a minute. I didn't know it'd been out that long. Absolutely love this release. I believe I got this through Metalhead Box many years ago at this point, but I absolutely fell in love with the release. It was released through Gorehouse Productions. I love me some Gorehouse, and this fits right in on their roster there. But killer, one of the better Gorehouse releases that I own. Next up, we have some Brazilian death metal. This is Mortal Ways. This is their 2020 full-length, self-titled full-length. You got the alien there on the cover. A very solid slab of death metal here. I was pretty impressed with this. I picked this up from, almost lost power. I picked this up from Paragon Records about a year or two ago, I'm wanting to say. My timeline is completely thrown off. This is a band that just kind of this was released through Thanatology Productions. I believe that's actually a label out of China. I could be wrong, but the band themselves is from Brazil. But they're a band that kind of churned out some pretty solid material during the pandemic. They have a follow-up EP entitled Enslavement Pandemic. I mean, as I was saying, they churned out some pretty solid death metal. There was a lot of good music coming out during the COVID lockdowns and the pandemic in general. And this kind of got lost in the shuffle, but which is unfortunate because both of the full length and the EP here are just solid slabs of Brazilian death metal. It has that fiery Latin feel going. Definitely check out some Mortal Ways if you have not heard them already. Next up, we have some Maggot Stomp knuckle dragging death metal. This is Mortal Wound with their 2018 EP, I want to say, entitled Forms of Unreasoning Fear. I was late getting my hands on a copy of this. I picked it up probably about 2020, so I was probably a couple of years late. Absolutely stellar death metal EP. I mean, it fit right in with that Maggot Stomp, grimy, knuckle dragging stuff that was coming out at the time. Absolutely love this EP. I believe they put out a split with, I'm going to say it was Gutless a couple years after this. I missed out on that one, but I did get the most recent full length that came out last year on Dark Descent Records entitled The Anus of the World. This was one of my favorite releases from last year. It felt like one of the kind of late 90s throwback death metal feel, that brutal death metal from the late 90s with the sound clips and stuff going on. I mean, I could have been listening to this while I was in high school and would not have known that it was something from the future coming out in 2025. I absolutely fell in love with this. Killer. If you have not heard The Anus of the World, definitely get on that and check it out. I hate that this glare is becoming such a bad issue because I'm struggling to show you guys some of these cover arts, and they're just phenomenal. Next up, we have some goth metal. This is featuring Morten Veland, that was once of Sirenia and Tristania. This came out, I'm going to say, 2010. So it's been out a long time. This is Mortimia with a Miserere Mortem. It can, that when you have a hype sticker comparing you to Sirenia and Tristania, that's especially in the goth metal genre, that's a pretty big, that's some big shoes to try to fill, or at least something some hype to try to live up to. This falls a little flat when it comes to that. It's not a bad release, but I mean, it's just kind of run of the mill goth metal. It's a bit forgettable, unfortunately. I like the album. It's just not something that I find myself returning to or reaching to that often, unfortunately. Man. Okay. Next up, we have some black metal out. I believe this project is out of Australia. This is entitled Morth with Towards the Endless Path. This is kind of ambient, dark ambient black metal. You can kind of get that atmospheric vibe going there from the cover. They released, this came out 2015, so yeah, it's been out. I knew this came out pretty early on with me getting into YouTube and trying to kind of tinker with doing videos. The thought was there. Atmospheric black metal was a huge thing going on at the time. I remember getting my hands on this. I didn't get it in 2015, but I got it kind of shortly afterwards. And I just, that has a bit of a nostalgia vibe, like my early YouTube nostalgia vibe going on there with Morth. We take a swig and we'll keep on marching through. Next up, Mortician with their Mortal Massacre. This is, I guess, a compilation is the best way to put this. Pretty solid. I mean, you know what you're getting with Mortician. This is one of the reissues that they've put out, the little flimsy digipack reissues that they've been putting out lately. Pretty solid compilation. I mean, that's early Mortician stuff. Very good. House by the Cemetery. I've got this. This was the 95 Relapse issue. It's seen better days as far as the condition goes, but I'm not going to let it go. Just the collector scum in me. Even if it gets to be completely unplayable, I'm just going to hold on to it for nostalgia's sake. I actually picked up one of the reissues just to have a better playable copy of that House by the Cemetery. The reissues aren't bad. I mean, you get like a more modern look to the artwork and stuff. I'm not a fan of the little cheap foldable digipacks. There are worse digipacks out there, but I'm always I'm more apt to grab something on jewel case than a digipack. Then we have my favorite Mortician release. This is the Zombie Apocalypse EP. I absolutely love this. This is what kind of really got me into Mortician, was Zombie Apocalypse. Someone made a mixtape for me years and years ago, and this was on there, and the title track was on there, and it just kind of hooked me in. I was like, man, that is heavy stuff. I've got to get my hands on some of that. And love Zombie Apocalypse. I actually own that on vinyl as well. Then I have the Chainsaw Dismemberment reissue on the Digi. I need this one actually came with a sticker. I forgot that was in there. I need to get the Hacked Up for Barbecue. I had it on a dual um, with Zombie Apocalypse. It was like a bonus, and I ended up selling it because I didn't like having both on the same. And I like the thought process was I'll get a copy of Hacked Up for Barbecue. I just haven't got a solo copy of that yet. Then I have the reanimated Dead Flesh. This is awful. I mean, it's funny. I mean, you know what you're getting with Mortician, but as far as like musically, I'm not big on this one. I mean, I will 10 out of 10 times go to some of their older discography and grab some stuff if I want to listen to some Mortician. Moving on, we have some black metal out of Canada. This is a release I got through Metalhead Box. I really don't remember just a whole lot about this. I remember liking it, but it's been on the shelf for so long that I haven't listened to it in a while. And I'm positive I got this through Metalhead Box just because it's on the Black Market Metal label. This is Mortiferous with Necromancer Awakens, and like I have the remember I have the memory of this doing the Metalhead unboxing and listening to this and all of that stuff, and I remember enjoying it, but that's as far as it goes. I actually have no memory of what it sounds like at all in my head, so I'll have to revisit this one sometime in the future. That's one thing I like about these videos is it's for me it's kind of rediscovering my own collection at times. Next up, we have Mortiferum. This is the first full length entitled Disgorge from Psychotic Depths. Absolutely phenomenal, kind of doom death, heavy stuff. I had the Altar of, I think it's called Altar of Decay promo demo at one time. I ended up selling that just because I was putting my partner through nursing school, and if any of you have gone through nursing school yourself or have had a significant other going through nursing school, you know it is a very trying time financially, emotionally, time-wise, everything. So went through some tough financial times there, and I had to unfortunately unload some stuff, but it was worth it in the long run. So at some point, I will pick up another copy of that. I know the CD copies are quite expensive, but you can get an Altar of Decay vinyl probably for about $20. So I'll probably jump on that at some point. But as far as the full lengths go, this is the first full length released through Profound Lore. Saw these guys live. I believe the next album was just coming out, but they were still touring pretty heavy on this album when I saw them live, and it was just absolutely phenomenal, heavy stuff. Then you have the follow-up full-length entitled Preserved in Torment. Absolutely stellar. I mean, this is just so heavy. If you haven't heard Mortiferum and you're into death metal, something's wrong with you. I mean, it's just doomy, heavy death metal. Absolutely perfect stuff. Definitely check out Mortiferum. Next up, we have Mortification. This is their second full length that came out in 1992. Very old stuff. This is entitled Scrolls of the Megalith. Not sure. I want that debut self-titled full length from Mortification. When it comes to this band, I feel like their first three full length albums are where it's at. Those are the essentials, just thrashy, old school death metal. They are a Christian themed band. Don't let that fool you as far as the early stuff goes, because they rate right up there in my book with some of the haymakers of the time. So I definitely want to get my hands on that debut full length. But this one I found for a steal. I don't know if it's a bootleg. It looks like it has the wear and tear of an original on it. So I'm not sure, but I got that for way cheaper than I ever should have got it. Then I have their third full length entitled Lost Momentary Affliction. Another killer release. As I said, the first three are absolute essentials as far as early, that early thrashy death metal. This was released through Nuclear Blast. Look at that. I don't know if my camera's going to pick it up. I hope so. Can you see that old school Nuclear Blast logo there? And it's even got the P.O. box for Millersville, PA on there. So I mean that's old when you were having to do everything through the snail mail. It doesn't have the original artwork. I don't know if this is a reissue. I'm not sure what's going on with this. I remember a different uh, artwork being the original artwork, but it has to be an early press just from what's going on with this. So I have to do maybe a little bit more research. Probably something I should have done prior to the video, but hey, what can you do? Then later, the Mortification kind of went south, I think, as far as some of the discography goes. This one is kind of proof of that. This one is entitled Hammer of God. It's more of a death and roll type album, but it's just not as, I don't know, it didn't age well. This came out late 90s, I want to say. Um, yeah, out of the three that I own, this is by far my least favorite. I got this one super cheap. I'm glad that I got it for the price point. If I had paid like full price for this, I probably would have been upset. But I mean, it is what it is. Next up, we have some brutal death metal out of Canada. This is Mortify with a Preliminary Hearing. This was released through CDN Records. You can get this little EP super cheap these days. It came out in 2009. Unfortunately, the band disbanded shortly after releasing this EP, and it was the only, I think, physical release that they did. And I hate that because I loved this little EP. It was some heavy, heavy stuff. I've had a few copies of this in my possession over time, getting them in grab bags. I think I got one in Metalhead box in the past, and you can find one of these for pennies on the dollar if you're looking for one. I definitely recommend it if you're into brutal death metal. You might find some stuff on here that you really like. I dig that EP. I just think it's a shame that we won't be getting any more material from that project. Then we have another release from a band under the same name. This is Mortify with Grotesque Buzzsaw Defilement. This is a grindcore slash death grind. Well, almost lost the lights again. Grindcore slash death grind project out of Japan. And it has that buzzsaw sound to it. It's got those H1 death metal, death grind stuff going on. This was released through Obliteration Records. I know there have been a few different pressings of this that's come out over the last little bit. There's been Jewel Case and other digipacks and stuff. That is the Obliteration Records pressing. I got that on Bandcamp a while ago. Next up, we have some old school Mexican death metal. This is some 90s stuff from a Mexican death metal band that was reissued and pressed from a South Korean label in, I think, 2021, 2022. This is Mortuary with their Blackened Images full length. This also has the Labyrinth demo attached to it as well. Released through Fallen Angels Productions. I love these Fallen Angels releases. They go over the top. They put their, for most of the stuff I've seen, it's all been in jewel cases. They do an exceptional job on the artworks, even on the disc. They go all out, and I've just been super impressed with these Fallen Angels Productions reissues and stuff. The music on this, I mean, 90s thrashy Mexican death metal, absolutely phenomenal. If you haven't heard Mortuary, definitely check out Blackened Images. You're going to be blown away by it, I promise. Next up, another band of the same name. Funny thing, if you look this band up on Discogs, it says not to be confused with the French. Wow, that was a truck, a very loud truck. Not to be confused with the French death metal Mortuary, and this is the French death metal band Mortuary. This is their 1999 release entitled Eradicate. Pretty decent. It was released through Pavement Records. One of the better 90s, late 90s death metal releases that you'll find. You can find some of those Pavement stuff for next to nothing, and this is pretty solid. So definitely don't overlook them. Of the two, I would probably go with the Mexican Mortuary over the French, but that's just me. Next up, we have Mortuary Descent. This is the EP entitled Skeletonization, released in 2021 through Life After Death Productions. Solid death metal EP. I think there were some allegations or something about one of the band members, and I don't know if they put anything else out, which is unfortunate. I hate to see stuff like that happen in the scene, and then also hate it when you don't get any more material, because this was absolutely phenomenal. I was kind of late getting on the ball on this one, and I hate when that happens, because then you miss out on any chance you ever had of seeing them live or any of that type stuff. Next up, we have Mortuary Ghoul out of the UK. This is their Norman full length. Absolutely phenomenal death metal. Obviously psycho themed. They absolutely kill it on this. Heavy stuff. This was released through Dismal Fate. Pretty positive I picked this up through the Iron Fortress web store. They get a lot of that imported death metal and stuff going on over there. So that it's pretty cool to get some of these imported stuff at a non-imported shipping cost. But killer stuff from Mortuary Ghoul. Absolutely heavy slab of death metal there. And then we're going to wrap it up with some New Jersey black metal. This is Mortem with Atlantean Ouroboros. This one's been out for a little bit. I want to say maybe 2019. I could be way off on that time frame, but in my head, that's what I'm saying. Killer artwork. That's what drew me to this. This was self-released by the band on compact disc. They have some tapes and I think and vinyl through Folkmonger, but they did the solo release. I think the CDs actually came out first, self-released from the band, and then later on did the vinyl and tape treatments through a label. But killer black metal. There were some tracks on here that I do remember. Absolutely, the Boiling Sea, the Crown Serpent rises from the Boiling Sea. I remember really liking that one. And track 7, I think it was Tidal Waves, Dwarf Skyscrapers. I enjoyed that one as well. Just you get that end of the world apocalyptic feeling. I guess it's kind of like apocalyptic black metal, but killer stuff there from Mortem. So that's all for episode 105. Long video. Been a little long-winded on this one. Thanks if you stuck through this. I'll try to have some collection updates and stuff coming in the very near future as well. So see you guys soon. I promise.